we are talking about self-accountability. And when you probably hear those words, I don't know, maybe you're triggered. Maybe there's a part of you that's like, oh, I don't need to be so rigid, so structured, so hard on myself. And, refer back to last session, unconditional love. That's what we're going to apply to today's topic as well. Self accountability gets a real bad rap, I believe, because it is often confused and it can get sort of intertwined and tangled up and misunderstood with being too hard on yourself or being really rigid or restrictive or never feeling like you are enough or have done enough or are accomplished enough. So we're going to untangle that, split it apart, and face self accountability head on in a very, very empowering way. So, first of all, let me know, hashtag replay if you're on the replay. But what is your current relationship like with self accountability? Would you say you hold yourself to account really well in really healthy, aligned, positive way? Or does self accountability look like at the moment just a long list of things that you said you would do but you didn't, and you just beat yourself up on those? I don't know if you can tell, I'm a little bit guilty of that at times. Look down at the stuff I've done in the day. It doesn't feel like it's enough. I wish I had done that. I did this instead of this other thing. And it's a slippery slope to not feeling really good. So we're not going to do that today. We're going to actually unpack how to have self-accountability in a way that moves you forward, inspires you, and also is flexible enough to know when you actually just need a friggin' break and you're not letting yourself down. So really, really juicy topic. Now, one of the reasons we're talking about self-accountability is you have massive goals. You have amazing goals. There are things that light you up inside, and we want to actually get you working on those. And self-accountability is a beautiful tool to actually train yourself to keep momentum, to keep going, to actually achieve what you set out to do. And it's actually a little bit non-negotiable as well, because if you're never holding yourself to account, if you're never saying, I made this plan, so I'm going to follow through, you will find things don't get done, progress doesn't get made, and you're going to get really, really frustrated when you look back and think, if only I'd actually just applied a little bit more accountability and discipline to the process. Now, if you've heard of Seth Godin, probably have if you're in business, but if you haven't, he's just like this marketing guru guy, and he has lots of interesting books. One of the books of his I read recently, well, quite a while ago now when I think about it, was called The Practice, and he shares this analogy of being on the hook, and he gives the backstory about where that phrase comes from, but basically it comes down to saying, I'm putting myself on the hook, I'm holding myself to account, and I need to actually show up and meet that commitment and meet my own standards and requirements because it matters. It matters to me. It matters to my future. It matters to my family. It matters to the people I'm out here serving. So you put yourself on the hook. One of my clients in the coven, because we had a whole session on this, she was like, ooh, I thought you meant like hook, like a worm on the hook, and it's very like wriggly and uncomfortable and not very nice. I'm like, no. This is the good kind of on the hook. The kind of on the hook that means you can be proud of what you've done, you can rely on yourself, and you actually know how important it is that you do follow through. So that is what I want to talk about today with self-accountability. Now, this can sound a little bit harsh. If you don't do what you say, you are letting yourself down. If you don't do what you say, you are actually building self-distrust. You are actually providing evidence of why you can't rely on yourself. And maybe, if that happens once a month, once a year, it's not going to have that big of effect. But have a very genuine, intuitive check-in here with your soul, with your heart. How often does this happen to you? Do you write down a to-do list in the morning and accomplish none of it? Do you say you're no longer going to, scroll on TikTok, and then you do it 10 times that day? How often do you make a commitment and then do not hold yourself to account? And I want you to be real, really real here. And let me know in the comments if you're willing to own it. How many times a day does that happen? Big ways and little ways. It might be a big thing like, I promised someone I'm going to go help them with this thing, and I just ignore their messages and didn't. Maybe it's, oh, I'm going to drink more water, and you only drank coffee. I'm not going to go buy takeaway, and you had it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So how many times a day on average do you put yourself on the hook and then take yourself off because you don't follow through? And I want you to own that number, and I want you to be honest with yourself, because that is just proof in black and white how you're building distrust, how you're showing you're unreliable, and probably the reason as well that there is still so much doubt and fear and uncertainty in your pathway forward, because there is a part of you that knows that whatever plan I make, I'm probably not going to follow through anyway. So it's very murky waters. Now let's look at the flip side, the plus side, the actual thing that you can do about this, because it doesn't matter if that number was 100 times a day or 2 times a day. You can move forward, you can be more healthy, you can be more resourceful, and you can be so much more in alignment with yourself. Because when you trust yourself, it is so much easier to take actions that are in alignment because you actually know you're going to follow through on it. So what I want you to do is very, very simple. Every time you say you're going to do something, check in. Will I actually do that? If it's 100% yes, awesome, write it down. Say it out loud. Make it a plan. If you are dead certain you're not going to do it, don't even say it. Don't even say it. You could say, I might, I'd like to, maybe in the future, but don't say you're going to if you're not going to. If you have a lot of things where you do intend to, but they just tend not to happen, again, do a capacity check with yourself. Okay, today I want to do these 5 things. I would be really happy if I did. Knowing my energy levels, knowing how much I normally get through, knowing what might come up and get in the way, reasonably, I'll probably only get 2. Only write 2 down. And I was sharing this with a client earlier in the week and said, at the start that might actually feel like, oh, I'm being lazy. I'm not working hard enough. I'm not pushing. No wonder I don't, fill in the little blank there with whatever blaming statement comes through. But at the end of the day, this isn't about getting more done. It's not about crossing off your to-do list. It's not about saying, hey, I made 10 steps today. It's about building your self-trust. Knowing that when you say something, you follow through. Knowing that you can hold yourself to account. You can put yourself on that hook because you're actually going to honor it. And I would wish nothing more for you than to help you build that self-trust, that self-belief, and that self-honoring that is going to serve you so, so well in the future. So I want you to jump in the chat and let me know what has landed, what has resonated, what has even that brought up for you when I said, only write 1 thing down if you're only going to do 1. Because the more honest you can be, the more real you can be, and just, no holds barred, don't get in your own way. Just be honest. So I'm going to end this session with this little self-love card and then a tarot card. As you can tell, today's session has been a little bit more chill. Not everything needs to be hustle and bustle. Not everything needs to be a productivity sprint. I like those a lot, but sometimes you just need to have that loving level of awareness of what is going on. And actually 2 cards just jumped out for you, which is totally cool. The first one is I am fierce. Come on, cards. It's not a very great color for camera focusing, but it does say I am fierce. When you are holding yourself to account, especially if you haven't done it for a very long time, if you have this habit of letting yourself down, I want you to tap into the fact that you're so much more capable than you believe, and you're so much more capable than you actually have put into practice in the past. So regardless of what's happened before, you can do more. And I don't mean do more as in do more work, but do more as in invest more energy, invest more time, invest more passion and accountability in what you're doing. The second one is I am confident. One day I'll learn how to focus these. I think I'll say that forever for the rest of my life. I am confident. So yes, use your fierce passion and your determination, but also approach this with confidence. Would you rather confidently complete 2 out of 2 tasks? Or would you rather be slightly disappointed by getting 2 out of 5? Or even deeply disappointed by getting 2 out of 5 and eroding that confidence. So aim for completion, aim for accountability, aim for honoring what you said you're going to do, and feel that self-trust build. Here is your tarot card. And it's just on point. We've got the 9 of Bows, which is the 9 of Wands, respect. Come on. And I think respect is such a beautiful card for the conversation we've just had today. Respect yourself enough to honor what you said. Respect yourself enough to do the work that you've committed to. Respect yourself enough to know what is your capacity and then hold yourself to that. Hold yourself to that. And I think it's also just like, because this is a hunter out in the woods, surviving, but he respects the environment around him as well. So I think that's another big piece, is often what gets in the way of self-accountability is we don't take into context our life, our energy, our family, our commitments, our resources, because that actually might be what's getting in your way. Not the fact that you don't believe in yourself, not the fact that you don't have self-discipline, not even the fact that you perhaps take too much onto your plate. It's that there is a lot of other stuff going on in your life as well. If you have a business goal, if you have a vision for your future, if you want to increase your finances, whatever it may be, that is important, yes, but it's not the most important thing as well. It's a piece of your puzzle. So think about your capacity spread out across your whole life, the whole environment. Take it into context. Alrighty, so that is us done for today. Make sure you tag me in your comments, tag me in your questions. Alrighty, have a beautiful day, everyone.